guys, happy Veterans Day, Veterans Week. I wanted to read a special story for you this week in celebration of our veterans. Veterans are, if you don't know, are men and women who are either currently serving or have served in the military in some form, and they have fought for our country and for all of these wonderful freedoms that we have in America. And Veterans Day is a week that we celebrate them. And I wanted to read to you a very special story. It is actually a Caldecott Medal winner, and it's called Finding Winnie. Now, this is a special story, first of all, because it's about Winnie the Pooh, and you know that I love Disney, anything Disney related. But this story is the true story of the world's most famous bear, and it has to do with some very special veterans. So I'm going to read this story for you and then wait for some special instructions after. So this is Finding Winnie. We've got a lovely illustration in the front. This is a Caldecott winner. So Caldecott means that the illustrations are awesome. That's what they want it for. So make sure that you pay close attention to the illustrations. "Could you tell me a story?" asked Cole. "It's awfully late. It was long past dark and time to be asleep." "What kind of story?" "You know, a true story, one about a bear." We cuddled up close. "I'll do my best," I said. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colborn. "A vegetarian?" said Cole. "Bear doesn't like vegetables." "A veterinarian. It means an animal doctor." "I know that," Cole said. "That's what I'm going to maybe be when I'm big." If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters are so frosty that icicles grow on the insides of your nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But a day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away, beyond the end of the country and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be caring for the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on a train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land scroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far from home. So there's our veteran. The train rolled right through dinner and over the sunset, and around 10 o'clock and into a nap and out the next day, and it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. "A baby?" said Cole, annoyed. "A baby bear, a cub." Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost its mother, he thought, and that man must be the trapper who got her. "What do trappers do?" asked Cole. "It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears." "Raise them?" "You know," I said. "Love them." Harry thought for a long time. Then he said to himself, "There is something special about that bear." He felt inside his pocket and said, "I shouldn't." He paced back and forth and said, "I can't." Then his heart made up his mind, and he walked up to the trapper and said, "I'll give you $20 for the bear." "Is $20 a lot?" asked Cole. "Back then," I said, "even more than a lot." "Captain Colborn," said the colonel on the train as the little bear sniffed at his knees. We are on a journey of thousands of miles heading into the thick of battle, and you propose to bring this most dangerous creature? Bear stood straight up on her hind legs, as if to salute the colonel. The colonel stopped speaking at once, and then, in quite a different voice, he said, "Oh, hello." The men of Harry's regiment squeezed by to have a look. "I've decided to name her Winnipeg," Harry told them, "so we'll never be far from home. Winnie for short." They had a very long way to travel, and they had already gone 3 or 4 feet when Winnie grew hungry. "What do bears eat?" the men wondered. "What don't they eat?" said Harry. "Vegetables," Cole reminded me. "Winnie ate vegetables," I said. "She ate everything except onions." They brought her carrots and potatoes and apples and tomatoes and eggs and beans and bread and a tin of fish and some slop in a dish. But Winnie was still hungry. "How about dessert?" said Harry, holding up a bottle of condensed milk. Taking the treat in her paws, Winnie lay on her back and hummed a happy song as she drank. The men roared. Harry and Winnie gathered with soldiers from all over Canada in the green fields of Valcartier. A whole city of tents had sprung up there. One was a hospital for horses, where Harry went to work. Winnie was in the army now. Harry taught her to stand up straight and hold her head high and turn this way and that, just so. Soon, she was assigned to her own post. Even the colonel agreed that Winnie was a remarkable bear. She might have been the best navigator in the whole army. If you hid something, could she find it? She could. What if it was farther away? And farther still? Remarkable, he cried. In the evenings, both of them were too tired to move. When Harry thought about Winnie and the voyage across the ocean, his head said, "I shouldn't." His head said, "I can't." But his heart made up his mind. Nobody had ever tried to float so many people and animals across the Atlantic Ocean before. 30 ships sailed together, carrying about 36,000 men and about 7,500 horses, and about one bear named Winnie. When they finally arrived in England, the regiment went to training on the Salisbury Plain, where it rained and rained and rained. But Winnie didn't seem to mind. She was the mascot of the 2nd Canadian Infantry Brigade, and she attended her post with vigor. One day, Harry came running while she was doing her exercises in the tent. "You'll bring the whole place down," he said with a laugh. She had grown. Just get bigger. It was winter when the order came. The time had come to fight. Winnie posed proudly with the men for pictures to send home to their families. Harry thought for a long time. His head argued one way and then the other, but his heart made up his mind. He went to Winnie and said in a serious way, "There's somewhere we need to go." Winnie brushed the mud off her nose and nuzzled in close. Harry drove all the way to the big city. Her fur blowing in the wind. "Here we are," said Harry. "The London Zoo." Harry took a deep breath. "Winnie, this is going to be your home for a while," he said. She tilted her head. "We're shipping out to France," he explained. "I have to take care of the horses at the front." She rested her big head against him. "I know you want to come, but it's not safe." Winnie's head bowed. Harry's hands were warm as sunshine, as usual. "There is something you must always remember," Harry said. "It's the most important thing, really. Even if we're apart, I'll always love you. You'll always be my bear." "Is that the end?" "That's the end of Harry and Winnie's story," I said. "But I don't want it to be over," said Cole. "Sometimes," I said, "you have to let one story end so the next one can begin." "How do you know when that will happen?" "You don't," I said, "which is why you should always carry on." So this is the zoo from an aerial view. And you can see all the animals from up ahead. And sweet little Winnie is right here by herself. Once upon a time, there was a little boy with a stuffed bear. He'd had his bear ever since he was a baby, but somehow the boy had never found the right name for him. He'd tried Teddy and Edward and even Big Bear. Does bear look familiar to you? One day, the boy went to visit the London Zoo with his father. And there was a bear, a real bear, on the terraces there. Right away, the boy thought, there is something special about that bear. Her name was Winnie. They became true friends. The boy was allowed to come right inside her enclosure to play. Once the boy had found Winnie, he knew just what to call his stuffed bear. He named it Winnie the Pooh. And the boy was called Cole, said Cole. His name was Christopher Robin Milne. Christopher Robin would visit Winnie at the zoo, and then he would take his stuffed animal on all sorts of adventures in the wood behind his home. His father, Alan Alexander Milne, wrote books all about them. Harry's Winnie became Winnie the Pooh, and there has never been a more beloved bear. "But what about Harry?" Cole asked. When Harry visited Winnie at the zoo, he saw how happy she was. She was being raised. She was truly loved. And that was all he had ever wanted from the moment they met at the train station in White River. So after the war, Harry returned to Winnipeg and his life as an animal doctor. Before long, he was married and had a son named Fred. And Fred had a daughter named Laureen. And Laureen had a daughter named Lindsay, which is me. And then I had a son. When I saw you, I thought, there's something special about this boy. So I named you after your great-great-grandfather, Captain Harry Colborne. I named you Cole. So you can see here the family tree. This is Harry, who we started with, and his son Fred. Then there's Fred and Laureen. Then there's Laureen and Lindsay. And now Lindsay and Cole, who we've been reading the story with this whole time. "That's me," said Cole in a whisper. "That's you. And that's Winnie?" "Yes," I said, "that's Winnie. And it's all true." "Sometimes the best stories are," I said. Cole's eyes grew big, and he said nothing for a long time. Then he hugged his own bear close and let out a yawn that reached far away, and they both turned over and fell asleep. So they're all connected. And here's a little album I can show you. This is Harry as a young soldier. So he's the one who found Winnie and named her. Harry kept diaries throughout World War I. This was the diary from 1914, the first year of the war, and the diary page from the day Harry found Winnie. On August 24th, 1914, he wrote, "Bought bear, $20. So these are replicas of the originals. And then we have 3 soldiers with Winnie at her post. Winnie and Harry have what appears to be a laugh and a snack. Harry and his fellow soldiers with their mascot, Winnie. He's holding her right there. This picture of Winnie and Harry inspired the statues that now stand in Winnipeg and London. So you can see that how they're standing right there. That was real, and then they made statues of it. Here's the other ones. I'll hold up close for you to see. So neat, right? And then this photo was taken of Winnie and Christopher Robin in 1925 at the zoo after they became friends. Christopher Robin's father, A.A. Milne, watches them play from above. This official animal record card shows that Winnie began her stay at the London Zoo on December 9th, 1914. And then here's Lindsay and Cole in 2013. We knew there was something special about this boy. So Lindsay is the author of this book. She wrote the story, and she is connected to Harry. So all those great stories about Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin were written by A.A. Milne, and they really, really did have a special relationship with a bear named Winnie. The end. So I thought you would enjoy that on this Veterans Week. I love that a veteran is tied to Winnie the Pooh. Now, to show your appreciation to our veterans, I would love if you could continue on with the activity that we would have had if we'd been in school. There is a website an organization called A Million Thanks. And this is the website you can go to, amillionthanks.org. If you would go to that website and read up just a little bit, this is a place you can get letters to for veterans. So you could write and design your own card, your own letter to a veteran to thank them for all of the wonderful things that they've done for our freedoms, for our country, and they would love to have them. If you could do it by December the 1st, then they'll get it in time for Christmas. They still will receive them afterwards, but they wouldn't be for Christmas. It'll be for just another time. But if you could create a letter, and please send me a picture of it, or send me a copy of it somehow through my email or on Canvas somehow. Send it to me so that I know that you've done that, and get it to amillionthanks.org. There's an address on their website, and it tells you all about it with sample letters and all that. It tells you all about where to send. If you could do that, I know those veterans would really appreciate it. They don't hear thank you enough for what they do, and so I would love if you would be able to do that since we aren't together to do it. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email and write those letters. Happy Veterans Day.